everyone, welcome to the very first episode of Pai's Kitchen. And if you missed the memo and you don't know about Pai's Kitchen, it's simply my second show where I share with you all things delicious and yummy that are outside the scope of Thai cuisine. Now, Hot Thai Kitchen is still coming up on Friday as per usual. So in Canada, we've just had our Thanksgiving not too long ago, and one of the classic traditional recipes to have for Thanksgiving is pumpkin pie. Now, when I first came to Canada, I had pumpkin pie for the first time. I didn't really love it, so I wanted to see if I can create a recipe that I would actually like, and that's how this recipe came to be. I've been making it for years and I've never had anyone say they don't like it, even the self-proclaimed pumpkin pie hater. So let's get started. The first thing we're gonna make is the pie crust. Now, if you've got a crust recipe that you always use, by all means use that, but I'm gonna show you one that is so easy. And it's a classic French crust called pâte brisée, and it's not the flaky pie crust. It's got sort of a tart crust, shortbready tenderness. It's really good. But most importantly, you don't have to worry about keeping things cold or overworking the dough. It's really, really simple. All-purpose flour, a little bit of rice flour, a little bit of salt. Get that mixed up right onto a work surface. Now this butter is actually softened, and then I'm gonna rub it in with my fingers until it's crumbly and there's no more big pieces. I've got an egg yolk right here, some water. Beat that together into the center. Gradually stir everything into the middle. Gather all your dry stuff and kneading it into the center. So once it's sort of smooth, a technique that the French call fraisage, smear it across the counter, and that's to get rid of any big lumps of butter. Chill in the fridge for 30 minutes. And now roll it to about 1/8 of an inch thick. I'm gonna transfer that onto my pie plate. Trim off the edges. A really simple design. You don't need to crimp it, do anything crazy. Dock the bottom of the pie. I'm gonna let this rest in the fridge for 10 more minutes. We're gonna blind bake it. What that means is we're gonna bake it with some pie weight on top. In a 350-degree oven, 20 minutes. So we wanna take out the rice and let it bake for 5 more minutes to let the bottom sort of dry up. We're gonna make the candied pecans that are gonna go on top, and this will turn a plain pumpkin pie into something that actually looks really impressive. Dead simple. I've got some butter on here. So once the butter is starting to melt, I'm gonna add some dark brown sugar, some maple syrup. After all, this is Canada. And if you don't have maple syrup, you can also just use honey. Going with a little pinch of salt, some roughly chopped pecans. Quick toss. I'm gonna turn the heat off. Just a thin coating. I don't want these to be super sweet because the pie is already sweet. So spread them out onto a baking sheet, and you want to do this while they're hot. Okay, so this goes into a 350 oven for 7 minutes just to dry out the candy on the outside. And then that's it, they're done. All right, let's make the filling. Now, what's special about this pumpkin pie is it's partially sweetened by white chocolate. You don't have to use chocolate chips. You can just use a regular block of white chocolate, but I just happen to have these. So I've also got some evaporated milk. That's my Thai side coming through. We always bake with evaporated milk. I'm gonna melt the chocolate in here. I'm just gonna microwave this for 30 to 45 seconds just to get it steaming, okay? Not boiling over or anything. Okay, so now it's hot. I'm going to pour my white chocolate into the evaporated milk. I'm just gonna let it sit for a couple of minutes, and the heat of the evaporated milk will get the white chocolate soft and melty. We will deal with the pumpkin. So this is a pumpkin I'm using. This is canned pumpkin in a can like this. Doesn't have to be this brand. And if you can't find canned pumpkin where you are, or you've got lots of pumpkins left over, you can steam the pumpkin and mash it, okay? So doesn't have to come from a can. So I've got here some cinnamon, ginger, and nutmeg. The nutmeg is optional. It's really expensive for a spice. If you don't have it, don't worry about it. This is another secret of mine. I'm going to add some orange zest. Now, if you don't like orange flavor, you can also do lemon zest. What you're trying to achieve is some sort of a bright citrus flavor that helps lighten the heaviness of the pie a little bit. And that's actually one of the reasons why I didn't love pumpkin pie, because it just felt so cloying and rich. And so the citrus really helps lighten and brighten it up. All right, and then you get to eat the rest of it. I've got 2 egg yolks. Now the egg whites, we're gonna keep. We're gonna whip up the egg whites and add it later. So give this a quick stir. The chocolate should have had time to soften by now, so I'm just going to give it a stir. There you go. And it's just gonna melt into the evaporated milk. This is like drinkable white chocolate. Into the pumpkin. You just know at this stage this is gonna be good. Give that a stir. Now, I've also got 1 whole egg that I'm going to add to this. But before I add it, I'm gonna use it as an egg wash on my pie crust. My pie crust has come out of the oven, and I'm gonna use this egg to brush the edges, and that'll just help the crust brown more beautifully at the end. See, one thing I like about using my own finger instead of a brush is you don't lose any egg into the brush. Now we're gonna put this egg into the filling. See, now you don't have a leftover egg from the egg wash. So now that's mixed up. This is the other really good part. So I'm gonna stir in some white chocolate chips. And so now, when you bake up this pie, there's gonna be like little melty bits of white chocolate all throughout. One of the things I wanted to accomplish with this pie is I wanted the filling to be really light and not so heavy. And so what I will do, my 2 egg whites, I'm gonna whip this up into a meringue and fold it into the base and give it that light texture. So once it's foamy, kind of like this, I'm gonna start adding my brown sugar. And I'm using dark brown sugar, makes it a little richer in flavor. And you don't need it to be stiff peaks or anything, just soft peaks is fine. That's fine. You don't want the whole pumpkin pie to be a giant puff ball in the oven. It just extra air, extra lightness. Okay, so I'm just gonna fold this into my pumpkin mixture, just half at a time. So the first one, you can do it quite quickly just to lighten the base. The rest of it can go in. Now, if you want to make this less sweet, you don't have to add the brown sugar at all. If you're, watching your sugar and you still want a dessert, you don't like it overly sweet, or you can omit the extra white chocolate chips. It's quite a forgiving recipe. Now, it always looks like there's way more filling, but it always just fits somehow. Okay, so now what I did that I didn't tell you was when the pie came out, I turned the oven up to 375, and now this is gonna go in for 45 minutes. There we go. Da, 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 da. A couple of ways to know that this is done. First of all, it's going to be puffed up, and you're going to notice the edges starting to crack. Okay, but what you don't want is for the middle to also start cracking, because that means that the pie has overcooked. So now we're going to finish this off by putting the candied pecans on it, push them in a little bit into the pie to secure them. Now is the hardest part. You're gonna let this cool for at least 2 hours. Right now it's too soft, because one of the things that will help set this pie is actually the white chocolate. So if it's piping hot right now, you won't be able to get nice pieces out. So let it cool until it's at least lukewarm. It doesn't have to be completely at room temp, but at least lukewarm before you start digging in. So plan ahead. All right, here's the moment. It's still kind of warm in the middle, which is perfect. Again, extremely useful tool, the little mini offset spatula for pie. Who needs pie lifters? Pie lifters are awkward. Ooh, oh my God, that looks so good. Oh yeah. Look how soft and fluffy and custardy that looks. I like a little bit of whipped cream, but not just any old whipped cream. I made maple whipped cream. I can't escape maple syrup when I'm in Canada. So this is basically whipped cream that I just added some maple syrup into it when I'm whipping, and it just adds that nice fall autumn flavor that works really well with the pie. Add a little extra of the candied pecans on top. All right, here we go. See, this is everything I wish that first pumpkin pie I had was like. It's light and fluffy, yet it's still really moist and creamy, especially with that melty white chocolate bits inside. and it's not heavy. So with that citrus flavor that we added, it just sort of lightens everything up. So you can really eat a lot of this, because you know how pumpkin pie sometimes 2-3 bites and you're just so full. This isn't like that, especially with the crunch of the pecans. There's lots of textural variety going on. Oh my God, this is so good. So if you like to bake, you gotta give this a try. If you've got Thanksgiving coming up, this will impress your guests, I promise, promise, promise. So the recipe for Pai's Kitchen is still gonna be on hotthaikitchen.com, so you don't have to go anywhere new for that. And when you make it, please send me a photo. I'd love to include them into my newsletter. And you can send it to me Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. And I will see you next time for your next delicious adventure.